Number 17, continuation of citizens forum for non-agenda items. Anyone in the audience would like to speak?
You had something?
Sir?
I'll try to get this in 3 minutes, but I'll talk really fast. My name is John Williams. I live at 730 Panmure Road in the 5th Ward. I want to thank the commissioners, Mr. Gentili and Mrs. Widdop, for the opportunity to speak tonight. I purchased the property at 730 Panmure Road in 2011, but I've been associated with the township since 1980 when my parents bought a property on San Marino Avenue. After moving into this property and investing in this property, it was in danger of being foreclosed. I began to sort of understand that despite its really wonderful attributes, that it was really threatened by commercial encroachment from Lower Merion Township. And this is best demonstrated by the expansion of a Lexus dealership that most recently has involved the creation of a rather large parking garage on Lancaster Avenue, of which none of the residents who are in sight of this were notified or consulted. I don't believe our commissioner was consulted either because we were across the county line. So this is going to increase the already very significant Lexus test driving that occurs in our neighborhood on Panmure, which, despite the fact that when this was initially built, they said they would not do, they do quite routinely. So we began to, the neighbors began to conduct an effort to create a one-way couplet with Panmure and Old Buck. We got everyone to sign on. We got greater than 80% signatures for people in Lower Merion and Haverford. However, Lower Merion refused to do anything about this. The commissioner refused to return phone calls. He was very difficult around this whole matter, and we're very respectful and very courteous, but he completely ignored us. So in the process, I began to research the actual legal status of the road. As part of this project, I've actually reviewed every commissioner's minutes through 1925. And in fact, every ordinance from the township through the year 1972, and all the deeds on the relating parcels. And what I've learned is that Panmure Road was actually created as a private road. Old Buck, however, has always been, since time immemorial, a public road. And in 1916, the commissioners, your predecessors, passed a resolution to make Panmure a public road. Now, at the time, there were 4 elements that were required for this. The first was a petition from the abutting landowners accepted by resolution. The second was payment for paving. The third was deeds of dedication. And the fourth was acceptance by ordinance. Only the first one was completed. There was no payment, there were no deeds, there was no acceptance. And basically what happened, it appears that what happened, is that the township just, after that, just kind of like assumed that it was a public road. And in fact, there's no mention of Panmure from 1916 to 1964 in any ordinance in the township when parking is banned in 1964. I've come here today because I believe that under the first-class township code, the 1916 proceedings are void, they're invalid, because they were not completed after 5 years. However, the township has proceeded as if it's a public road. I'm asking that a vacation hearing be scheduled. We have greater than 80% support on the block for this. Vacation would be logical and cost-effective to resolve this sort of legal limbo situation that has kind of occurred. There's been a lot of talk about money today. Haverford would save money by no longer having to maintain the street. I don't believe, and my council does not believe, that it actually is entitled to receive liquid fuels tax revenue for the street as it stands. Safety would be very much increased. We have a dangerous curve, right, on the street that is very bad visibility. The block would be made stable against commercial encroachment. There is no chance that this vacation would become precedential. It's completely unique, I think, in the township. Will have no effect on emergency services because we would give an easement for emergency vehicles, and anyway, it's at the very edge of the township. And a supermajority of Panmure residents support this, even those with land abutting Old Buck. If we can't get a vacation, one option would be to proceed with a quiet title. But again, none of us want to be adversarial. You guys clearly are working for the public good. I have worked for 8 years at the Veterans Hospital. I'm a member of the Board of Pardons in Pennsylvania. I believe in public service as well. I believe that this would benefit the public. There would be no downside to this action. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Thank you very much, and we'll take it under, we'll be in touch with you, or you can be in touch with the manager. Okay?
That's what he said. He said it was changed. Anyway, then a bunch of people want to take the roads back up for it.
Okay.
Commissioners, thank you for being with me one more time. I know I'm a little taller than get this to be useful.
Can you give us your name and address?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Oliva. It's I'm Andrew Heller. I'm at 1604 Ridgeway Road.
Okay.
As you know, Mrs. Heller usually does this in my place, but I was just trying to implore once again that our concern in the 7th and 8th wards we've been having over the years, and I know you've patiently heard this before, of having the difficulty of replacing HVAC systems, replacing washers, dryers, automobiles, a variety of expensive items. Now in the 7th and 8th wards, I was just talking to somebody yesterday who said down by the post office, I guess that's Chris Connell's ward.
That's the 8th ward.
Yeah, Juniper Road
Yeah,
there,
that's the same issue we're talking about.
Yeah, okay, cool.
and Forster.
But it's something that at the end of the day, if there's an opportunity to consider maybe rehabbing the library, maybe looking, I understand, if I understand correctly, there's a bond issue that's coming up, and technically, financially, there would probably be savings if capital improvements weren't done where the skating rink is now, if there was not a new library, and also not, I won't get into the police station part of it, but the crux of this right now seems to be the library. If there's a possibility that some of that funding could be, if there's anything left over and any cost savings is generated in a rehab, to do anything that's other than other things that are significantly important to some of these other wards. We just wanted to put that on the table again and just let that be heard. Thank you.
Did you want to speak also?
Yeah.
Sure.
What my neighbor, Andrew, I'm also a neighbor in the same area. Eileen Burrows, 1606 Ridgeway Road. We're next door neighbors, but our immediate area where we live, where we're situated, is the flooding issue, as you probably remember and you heard. And we're hoping that the options that we've discussed earlier is what is put forth. I think it's the option 2 is the installation of the parallel sewer along Mill Road. I love our library. I love the areas in Haverford Township. Like, I've visited Nider Hall, I've been to the Grange Estate, but I don't live in those areas. This is where I live, okay? This is the problem I'm having with me and my immediate neighbors, the flooding issue, okay? We're just asking that part of the budget goes towards the resolution of our flooding issue, okay? The personal problem, I know, and it does involve some of our neighbors, but this is where we live. This is what we deal with. This has happened 3 times in the last 10 years. And we just need your consideration. Thank you very much.
Okay. I'll respond to that because it's an issue we're looking into. We have already had our engineer, who isn't Yeah, Dave's here. He's putting together a report which will give us the options, and this board will weigh the options. It has nothing to do with the money that we would borrow for the library. That's a separate issue. We're going to, we have money to deal with these sort of issues. So we would borrow, we wouldn't limit, if we did the library, or if we did anything, it wouldn't have anything to do with spending money on your project, okay? All right? And
They'll
next
believe it
person?
when we do it, and I don't mean
What's
that
that?
offensively. They'll believe us when we ultimately do it.
Yes, they will.
And
They will.
I don't think I'm offending anybody saying that. Yeah.
No.
Mike?
Next. Name and address, please.
I'm Jean Angel from 2510B Road in Planner. I wanted to first just express my appreciation for you guys because I go to most of the board meetings and most of the work sessions, and I know you're working really hard, and sometimes it's very stressful, including tonight. I think you guys are doing a good job, and, you know, in spite of some snarkiness going on, I think you're all working really hard to try to figure this out, so I appreciate that. That makes me hesitant to even bring this up, but I do have a small concern, and I just felt like it was important for me to not be silent about it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I received a letter from Larry Gentili, the township manager, about the function and role of advisory boards and commissions. And I had some concerns about the tone of that and also the content, because I felt like it was inaccurate in some ways. A letter like this came, I think, a year ago. It might have been 2 years ago. And I have to say, this is much softer of a letter, and I think it's much better. But it repeats some of the inaccuracies that I felt were in the letter before. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. So he said he was asked by the Board of Commissioners to write this letter. So I'm really addressing it to you, because Larry is doing what you've asked him to do with the township solicitor's input, to outline the duties, responsibilities, and expectations of township advisory boards and commissions. And it goes on, and all seems appropriate. At the end, though, it says, advisory boards and commissions have no administrative or executive authority. In other words, advisory boards cannot establish township policy, grant permission, nor interfere with township operations. I'm all fine with that. This is the statement that concerns me. Let me be direct. Advisory groups are not authorized to initiate reviews of township policies and operations. That is the administrative function of township management, and such efforts to the contrary will not be tolerated. To me, that sounds very punitive, as if somebody has been doing something wrong. I'm getting this letter. I don't think my commission has done anything wrong, but that sounds pretty nasty. And it's also inaccurate. So if you look at what the Shade Tree Commission has been asked to do, and I'll read from the Article 19, to advise the Board of Commissioners and the Township Manager with respect to the preservation, maintenance, and planting of shade trees in the township, and B, to study the problems and determine the needs of the township in connection with its tree planting program. So we are actually studying the problems and the needs in relation to the township tree planting program. That is reviewing township policies and operations. And then under powers and duties, it says, the duties of the Shade Tree Commission shall be to make recommendations and provide advice to the code enforcement officer, the Board of Commissioners, and the Director of Public Works pertaining to shade trees in the township. This shall include, but not be limited to, the following: rules and regulations concerning planting, removal, maintenance, care, and protection of shade trees in the public streets, highways, and public parks throughout the township, and the problems and needs of the township in connection with its tree planting program. I don't know how we would possibly advise the commissioners or township staff about their tree planting program if we were not going to review the policies and operations. So I just feel like it's such a negative tone. It's basically saying, don't you dare don't step up, it's like, you've asked us to do this. You've asked us to look at the needs of trees, what the township's doing, where it may be needing to be modified, and then we make a recommendation. So then to send a letter saying, don't you dare do that, seems really inappropriate, and I don't really know how this got started. I assume it has to do with some other issue or commission, but maybe a form letter shouldn't be sent out to every commission when it really doesn't apply. There might be other commissions where they're not supposed to be reviewing any policies or procedures, but we are, so it seems inappropriate. I know other people in the Shade Tree Commission, we all had the same reaction, like, whoa. So I just want you guys to know that, and maybe think about that when you send out a form letter that's maybe meaning to be punitive towards another group, when it's sent to a group that's doing what it's been asked to do and trying to follow proper procedures, and yet gets a letter that seems scolding. It doesn't feel good. Thanks.
Okay.
So we'll note it.
Okay, duly noted.
Well, I don't want to get in a debate. I don't think that's appropriate for this time, but I think this board is well aware of certain boards and commissions that are advisory, and I don't want to single out, that have directly interfered with the operations of the township and is going well beyond their role and responsibility that has been pretty serious in the township. So maybe we
direct it towards those.
well, there's more than one board and commission. Right. What I would recommend, again, the advisory boards have nothing to do with me and my staff. You appoint me to appoint my staff to run the day-to-day operations. But I will tell you that as the township manager, as well as some of my senior leadership staff, have come into some serious conflicts with things that advisory boards have done that are inappropriate. What I highly recommend every year, this board appoints boards and commissions, that this board works with our legal department to generate, when you appoint someone, that they know what their role and responsibilities before this township develops a. I don't think that there's a true.
Mr. Gentili, let me cut you off for 1 second, just to get you off the hot seat here. That was sent at the request of the Board of Commissioners, because the Board of Commissioners is dealing with our professionals and our staff that have to first and foremost report to this board and do everything that the citizens of Haverford Township needed to do. And the enthusiasm of the people that work on our boards and commissions is greatly appreciated. And a lot of these people work on a number of these things. And unfortunately, Gene, the letter, it should have said to those for whom this message is appropriate. But it's like the person who gets up in court and says, everybody was speeding, and and the cop pulled me over, and the judge says, really? Why? And the cop says, well, I just turned on my lights, and Ms. Angel just happens to be the only one who pulled over. So I wish some other people had taken to heart and not taken as personally the message that you got, but it's about the allocation of our township expenses. And when the township finance director is taking calls from people who want this report, want that report, want something to be done so that they can make a recommendation on behalf of their board or commission, it actually makes the business of the township harder to do. So, it's not an easy message to deliver, but it's very difficult not to do in a form letter, because we can't get anybody, you know how much work happens in this room. We'd have to come every night for a month to each one of the different boards and commissions that are meeting here or elsewhere, and ask them, and just remind them of the good that they do, but that they've got to respect the job that the township personnel need to do. And when the township manager says, I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble with some of my staff because they're getting messages from this person and messages from this person. None of those people work for the township. None of those people are commissioners. You get to a point where perhaps you answer with a reminder to everybody of what it is they're doing and what we need to remind them that they're doing, and we appreciate it. But it doesn't fall on Larry Gentili. It falls on this board to accept responsibility for that letter. It needed to send that out just to over-address the issue that a few people were doing, and were creating, some difficulty in the township. So, I appreciate your point, and it's a letter we all looked at and all considered before it went out. And, to the extent that you thought it was criticism of what your organization did, it was not personal.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to add into that it's my understanding that it did come up from an incident in the finance department, which
Correct.
and it's
There have been things in addition to that, though, Chris.
Yeah, there was. I understand that, but I just also perhaps next time the letter could go out, and it could be from the board of commissioners instead of Larry signing it.
Yeah.
It'd be from the board of commissioners. But it's
also just a hypersensitive month for everybody on the board.
It is. It seems to be, isn't it?
there are people on those commissions.
Hypersensitive month.
There are people that are on those commissions that are very passionate about their jobs or about what they do, and sometimes they happen to get it over a little zealous. And so if it hurts your feelings, Gene, I'm sorry, but it was not intended that way. No.
It was mostly it wasn't accurate.
Okay.
With what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right. Anyone else? Okay. New business.
Mr. President.
Commissioner Holmes.
Mr. President, I need to raise, it is an issue of some temporal urgency, and that's why it's coming up in new business and not on the agenda. There is a public meeting before the Zoning Hearing Board next Thursday, August the 21st. As everybody knows, the Zoning Board considers appeals from various zoning provisions of the general laws of the township. There are two particular appeals, there are two particular cases before the Zoning Board, Z14 and Z15, Bob and Joe's Inc., and Blackwater Falls Trust and Catch Me If You Can LLC, who seek variances regarding our sign ordinances. I am recommending to this board that we authorize our township solicitor, Mr. Byrne or his designee, to attend these hearings, enter an appearance on behalf of the township, and represent the township's interests at those hearings, and report back to us in executive session as to his recommendations regarding the same.
Second.
All right. Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mr. D'Amelio?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. McGarity?
Yes.
Mr. Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
Mr. Heilman?
Yes.
And Mr. Oliva?
Yes. Any other new business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Police committee met, and unfortunately, I forgot to bring this up in the not executive session, the work session. But we talked about a number of issues with the police, as we normally do. But we also approached the chief and discussed with the chief of police the issue of the canines and what they recently did in Upper Darby as far as participating in having the dogs go into, I think it was Upper Darby School District.
The high school.
The high school. Now, many of us are always questioned, or statements are always made about the excessive drug problem in Haverford Township. I don't know if that's true or not, and I'm not saying that at all, that it's true. I don't know. But I think having the chief meet with the school district and do something similar as what they did in Upper Darby, which was, I think, successful, and the chief can comment on that that program and what our police department achieved there. I think that would be, or put this to rest one way or the other. So we don't have to continually hear that there's a drug problem, because I keep hearing it from my constituents.
So what do you request?
Well, the motion I'm asking is that the chief.
Motion? Hold on, Jim.
My motion is to have the board authorize.
Well, first let the chief,
Okay.
let him hear
request what he wants to do.
The motion first, then we'll have the
Yeah,
discussion.
okay.
Okay.
Well,
You make a motion, Steve?
Make a motion to authorize the chief to meet with the school board or the school president and the school board to facilitate a program such as the one that was accomplished in Upper Darby.
Why?
Okay.
Why does this need to be a board vote? That's within the chief's purview to meet with whomever he seems is appropriate.
If I could ask the chief one question. Chief, are you holding back on meeting with the school board because you don't feel authorized by the township to do so?
No, not at all.
Okay. Do you need any action on our part to investigate this issue?
I don't. I think the interest was if some board members wanted to participate in that.
If what, sir? I'm sorry.
A couple of the board members wanted to participate in that.
Board of Commissioner members?
Yes.
I did. I actually, if he was going to meet, I wanted to meet with the school board, the head of the school board, and take a few of us if we wanted to go. Chris, because they apparently, when they meet with their staff. And so I wanted the police committee, or members of the police committee, along with the chief. First of all, I wanted the chief to initiate the contact, which is what he should do. But we broached this to Mario, who's our chairman, and Mario felt that it should come before the full board, which is fine. And this is exactly what we wanted to do. Make sure you guys, all my colleagues, knew about it.
I would strongly counsel against any member of this board participating in that conversation. The lines between the school board and the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners are very distinct, and we should respect that. I just don't think that is a good idea. If you have, ultimately this needs to come down to what is the law with regard to the rights of the school district to allow or participate in this kind of thing. What are the police powers that the police can exercise in their own discretion or by authority of law? But I do not believe any of us should be involved in that. I think that's a mistake.
I think one of the concerns, if I understand it correctly, was that usually when you meet with the superintendent comes with an entourage, comes with perhaps the solicitor, comes with a couple of other people, consultants with the board. Chief, were you looking for some assistance with that or some support with that? Or are you looking to go?
This is our committee.
Particularly by yourself?
Solicitor and our township manager.
I could go either way. If some of the board members like to attend.
Well, I mean,
one of my concerns here is that it then takes on.
We're a police committee. We're a committee.
Well,
we've made recommendations.
But it's then taking on the nature of a negotiation between the township and the school district about a police matter. The police have jurisdiction in this township over everything they have jurisdiction over. The idea of bringing matching entourages to this meeting to see what we can convince them to do, what, as far as I'm concerned, it's a discretionary police matter. I think it's a real. No matter who he brings to his meeting,
well, here's
police
the thing,
can't
Larry.
do this. The police can't do this without the school district's approval, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. And I assume that wherever this has taken place in other towns, that approval has come when the police department and the various school boards meet and come to the conclusion that's a good idea.
That's correct.
Since the only pressure that, frankly, this board is capable of producing, especially with regard to the school district, is political pressure, is that the kind of assistance you want to get this meeting together?
No. Before you answer that, that's not what we're trying to do.
No keyword there, no pressure. There wasn't any pressure involved.
No pressure.
There.
I mean,
what would we be doing?
Let Steve talk a second.
The head of the school board always said that we had, Dennis Gray always said that we had good communication, and we do. Dennis and I always have had great communication, and we've always discussed issues. Whether or not, even when we dealt with the situation in Staten Island, we got together. This is not something to put a pressure on them. It's something to come to them and say, what are your concerns? How do you feel about this? This is just a dialogue with them. We're not going to say, if you don't do it, we have no jurisdiction to do that. We shouldn't say that.
Do you have any concern about going to this meeting that you are, why not have the chief contact the school and come back to us and tell us whether or not he's not satisfied with their answer?
Well, initially, that's what we asked him to do, but we wanted to bring it before the board. We wanted the chief to write the letter to the school district himself and then request a meeting.
Is
Is
there
this
a
coming
problem?
from the committee or from the chief?
Right,
Because I keep hearing we want them to do this and we want them to do that.
It's
Who's
coming from the
who's
committee.
initiating this?
The committee.
Is it a police issue, concern about drugs in the school?
Now, let me, because maybe you weren't listening, so I'll go back.
I was.
No, you weren't.
You're
because
saying there's
what I
there
said
may or may not
was,
be a drug issue.
what I said was the police could, you want to listen and maybe you'll get it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm at the same meeting, Steve, and this
So,
is the first
here's,
I'm hearing of it.
here's what I said. Here's what I said, Bill. I said that the police committee met. The police chief told us about the program that he did in Upper Darby. We made a recommendation to contact the school district. So it is coming from the police committee.
Wait, it was our police department's program in Upper Darby?
Yes.
Or did we lend dogs to assist
No,
their program?
No.
they went.
Right?
They went. Our police department went there.
With our dogs?
Yeah.
Okay, so who asked us to cross jurisdictional boundaries? I sure as hell know he didn't decide to go across township line.
You didn't ask him to.
No. Who did?
Who asked you?
Who is the chief?
Where did this come from?
We had a request from Upper Darby.
Okay.
We wouldn't go outside of our district without a request.
Has the school district expressed any desire for the police to do something? Let me just ask you, because there's really two questions. For the police to do anything like this, that's one. And two, is there some indication, because I hate to, I hear this discussion, and the message that the public is going to get is that there is a problem when there may well, and I hope, not be a problem. So I'm trying to figure out what the genesis of this is within Haverford and whether you believe, one, there's a need for it at all.
I do believe there's a need for
Okay.
it. I would like to discuss that with the superintendent. He has not officially been asked, and we have not been turned down as of yet.
And do you
So
have any?
I just want the opportunity to sit down and discuss with the superintendent
Okay.
the advantages
You
and
have that
disadvantages.
opportunity.
Have-
I mean,
and
Yeah, and
do
do
you?
you feel any hesitation to do that?
No.
Okay.
Okay. And do you feel you need the sort of imprimatur of this board to go to them?
I don't feel I need them. They did express an interest in participating, and that was Mr. D'Amelio's comment to the board.
And it's what I said. And I
prefer
said because
just
of
the
the
chief.
dialogue,
Right.
the dialogue that we've had,
Entourage of maybe Joe
it
Hagan
has
and
nothing to do
John
with the
Viola.
entourage. It has everything to do with the dialogue that we've had with the school district.
Okay,
And we
so
wanted to maintain that, so there would be no adversary.
It was a program that Upper Darby
Well, that's all
did,
good.
and all the chief wants to know, he liked the program, and he wants to know if Haverford is interested in doing it also.
Go ask him.
That's
Well,
the.
Then
Yeah.
let the chief ask.
Then,
By all means, go ask him.
good luck.
But
Thank you.
Okay, you got your answer, chief. Good luck. Let's get them. Okay?
well,
Okay.
Thank you.
just for bookkeeping purposes, shall we say, there is a motion on the table, and I would either ask that we either
I don't know if it
vote on
necessarily
it,
needs to be a
or
motion.
I would suggest motion to table.
Table.
Yeah.
Table it.
Okay, motion to table?
You can't
Second.
table your own motion.
Wait
It's
a
all
minute.
motion to
Who's-
table.
And I'll second.
I'll
Trying to get
second.
it out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
It's okay.
do a voice vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
For what?
Table Steve's
I mean,
motion.
everything's, you want to table this motion?
We tabled the motion.
But
yes.
Yeah.
the chief.
I'm against table.
Chief can still act.
He has the authority to
Oh, the
act.
chief can act. He can.
He has the
okay.
authority to
All
do
right,
that.
Well, that's all right then.
Tell him to do that.
Right. That's why we tabled the motion,
Okay.
because he doesn't need us.
Thank you,
He
chief.
doesn't need, okay then.
Okay.
Thank you, chief.
Is that it, new business?
Could I?
Yeah, you can go with him. Good luck
Could
with
I?
that.
I just have one thing for next month that I just want to ask the board, and you'll see it on the agenda, but the Haverford Partnership for Economic Development has an intern this summer from Haverford College.